What's up everybody, it's Victon here with my first theory-crafted League starter build guide for 3.15 Expedition League, the Absolution Guardian. And drumroll, this is my League starter for the League, and I'm super excited to play it. I've always loved Dominating Blow Guardian, and I think this build kind of just improves upon Dominating Blow's weaknesses and takes it to the next level, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. Of course, this is a new skill, and I've never played it before, just like everyone else, but I do feel like I have a pretty good idea of at least one strong way to do this build, and we're going to be going over that when I talk about the path of building. I also did some extra work here and wrote out a full gem leveling guide for you guys, along with a spreadsheet full of trade links for every single item in this build, so you guys can one-click your way to the exact items that you guys need. I have a cheat sheet gem leveling guide as well that I'm going to show you guys, and lastly I did make a custom leveling loot filter for this build as well. So tons of awesome stuff to help you guys league start this build, or just play through it if you don't have too much currency. It's gonna be a super solid one. Lastly, before we dive into the path of building, I just wanted to mention that I do stream on Twitch, so if you guys ever have a question, feel free to come on over and ask away. I'm always happy to have you guys out however I can with any of my builds, and like I said, this is my League starter, so if you guys want to follow me along, you can come do that as well. The link's going to be in the description for my Twitch, so check that out if you want. Also, if you're interested in supporting the channel, I do have a Patreon linked below, which is going to get you guys access to my community Discord, where I do personal build reviews all the time for people, so if you ever have extra questions on your own build, that is an option. Plus we just have a pretty good community in there, you can always ask in there too. Alright, so enough of that, let's hop right into the guide, and feel free to check the timestamps below if you want to skip around to certain parts of the guide. First and foremost is of course the path of building. Alright, so what I think got me the most excited about this build is of course simply that it is a ranged dominating blow build. It's spells instead of attacks, which literally just solves most all of the problems dominating blow had. And I already liked that skill in the first place. And since it's only 3 minions you summon instead of like 13 or something with dominating blow, you're going to get them out way faster. So in-game bossing is also going to be much smoother too. That plus it's going to be a very cheap build to get you guys up to red maps, and with some solid medium budget options, I honestly think that we have a really good time with in-game bossing as well. Anyways, let's take a look at the actual path of building here, and I will go over a few different things. So first and foremost, it is obviously a Guardian, which I do think is the best option here instead of Necromancer. Guardian's going to have a couple different things which we actually lose out on with Necromancer. I know there's probably going to be a lot of discussion about which one is better. This is what I'm going with, and I'll show you why. We're going to be able to get the kind of the same thing here with the elemental resistances that you do with Necro over here with the Commander of Darkness, which is pretty good for league starting situation, getting that extra elemental resistances. But this one's big. We're going to have Onslaught permanently because we're always going to have 5 allies near us because of our minions. So we're always going to have Onslaught. So more attack speed, more movement speed, and cast speed. All of those are going to directly help us summoning our minions, plus just kind of cruising along. So really, really good for a league start situation. And that's like an amazing first 2 points of an ascendancy node. We're also going to be doing 10% more damage just flat. So super, super good. Plus our minions do that too. We also have this right here, Unwavering Crusade. Again, just more, basically it's like an extended onslaught, right? Just 20% more attack speed, not more, but increased attack speed, cast speed, movement speed, all that good stuff. And here's the big one. Allies Intimidate and Unnerve. The big one there for us is Unnerve. Basically that means they're going to take 10% more spell damage. Which is very, very solid on hit. So really, really good. It's just a whole bunch of extra damage multipliers. When we lost so much with gems, we're going to keep them with certain things in here like that one, that 10% more. Super, super solid. On top of that, we're also going to be getting Time of Need, which is 80% reduced curse effect, which on top of this right here is actually new, Soul of, I think it's called Yugal. You and your minions, actually, you know what? I don't think they've changed it on here yet. Let's see. No, if that's, I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, the Yugal. It's not, it might not be updated on POB yet, but it is the one that gives us 20% reduced curse effectiveness. I'll make sure I update that. Just check that when you guys see that. But basically with that 80% and the 20% on your Pantheon, you're immune to curses, and that is super, super solid. On top of that, every 4 seconds, you regenerate 30% of your life over 1 second. It's like a massive life flask every 4 seconds. It feels really, really good. And lastly, even crazier is Bastion of Hope, which, as you guys know or might not know, it's a crazy defensive node here. It's a ton of block. Basically every 2 seconds out of every 5 seconds, you're basically going to be block capped at 75%. And on top of that, we're also going to be getting a ton of general block and spell block. So really good. And again, allies as well. So you and your allies are going to get some extra block chance. And on top of that, if you've blocked in the past 10 seconds, which is pretty much always, you and your allies cannot be stunned. Very solid. So Guardian, in my opinion, is looking really good. So now I won't go over too much here on the tree itself. It is pretty straightforward. I'll mention a few things though. One of the main things I do want to mention is kind of just how to use this. I have put in here how you actually just level up the build, right? So you can come down here, you can go 10 points, that's your first 10 points, and then you just kind of go up as you go. You'll notice that the ascendancy points also go up as you kind of level up. Let's come down here, you'll notice these two things as well. Final build with wand and shield, that's going to be the cheaper option. And it's super easy, right? It's just a wand and a shield, and there's 2 versions, so I'll show you. The wand and the shield is this version here. You're going to get a little bit of block chance, and that is why we have pretty decent block chance. And remember that 51% is usually going to be 75%, so super solid. So you get the block chance there, and the reason it's different from the other version, there is a version I'll go over when we talk about the gear, but we use staffs. So if you do the staff version, it's different points. You just get staff block nodes. Nothing too crazy. It's going to be a little bit less tanky, but you're going to do a lot more damage. So it's kind of up to you, but we'll talk about that in the gear section. So let's just go back to the one with the wand and shield. Sure, why not? A couple things to note is it's very important to get here. Actually, let me go show you where we're at, like 24 points. These are super good early nodes. This is very good node for kind of starting out the game, especially because they say Act 1 is going to be a little bit more difficult. Kind of rushing that, as well as here, discipline and training is going to give your minions a little bit more life, a little bit more damage as well once we go over here to Enduring Bond. So pretty solid. And at this point, you actually will have Absolution. You get Absolution really early on. Another reason I really like the skill. You get it at level 12 from Merveil. So getting this with the increased minion duration is really solid. A whole bunch of minion duration, meaning they're going to stay up longer. So pretty solid there. But yeah, so in general, we're really just getting a lot of life. We're getting some block nodes here and there, and we're getting a lot of minion damage nodes, as you can see here, and just a ton of life, And then over here, this is the last kind of point you'll get. You'll kind of notice what, 95, 100 points. At that point, you'll start getting your gem sockets. Your jewels. Now I put this like here instead of like the a large cluster, because I think this is the most important cluster that you can get as your kind of first cluster. And you can buy one of these, adds a 4 or 5 passive clusters. 5 are usually cheaper, and just roll it yourself. And all you really want here is Blessed Rebirth. If you get Renewal, that's best case scenario, but just getting Blessed Rebirth is what you want. And it's so crazy for our build. Minions created recently cannot be damaged, and you're constantly creating your Absolution Sentinels. So when you do that, they cannot take damage for 4 seconds. So it gives them a ton of quality of life. So this is really big. And I guarantee you can probably buy this for under 10 chaos, craft it yourself, easy peasy. And then once you kind of level up a little bit more, that's when you put in your large clusters and your second medium clusters. But yeah, you guys can take a look at that for a little bit more specifics on the tree itself. We do go with Brine King here and Yugal. We are killing all of the bandits, and our anointment is Ravenous Horde. You can actually do one of 2 things. You can do Ravenous Horde, or you can do Death Attunement. Death Attunement's a little bit more expensive. It's roughly the same damage. Basically, Death Attunement's going to give you an extra Spectre, which really isn't that big of a deal. In my opinion, Ravenous Horde is probably a little bit better. The Onslaught's not really good for us because we're already getting Onslaught, but it's up to you. Either one of those, honestly, is just fine. So let's go ahead and move over to these skills. Absolution, do note here, guys, it says Wave of Conviction. It's because Path of Building is not updated with the new skills yet. So pretend that Wave of Conviction is actually Absolution. So we have Summon Phantasm, Physical to Lightning, Spell Echo, Minion Damage, and Controlled Destruction. Our minions do not do Critical Strike, so Controlled Destruction is totally fine. It's actually a super interesting setup here, and you get a lot of these gems really early on. The Absolution, Phantasm, and Physical to Lightning, you get all of those before, what, 18? And then you can have your 4-link being minion damage. It's super solid to level up. I think this is going to be a really smooth leveling build as well. For our gloves here, and you can put them in either through gloves or your boots, doesn't matter. But for our utility, we do have Wrath as our main skill, and as you could tell, we did get the physical to lightning, right? So Absolution already has 50% of the physical damage converted to lightning. So once we get that physical to lightning, we are now doing 100% lightning damage, both ourselves and our minions, and we are scaling lightning damage with this build. And I think that's how we're able to take it kind of to the next level, because we're also going to be doing elemental equilibrium to shred some resistances as well on top of it. So going back to here, we do have that Wrath. We have a Vol Molten Shell. We've got a Flesh Offering, increased duration, pretty straightforward. In our helmet, we have Animate Guardian, Race Spectre. Your Race Spectres, you want 2 Carnage Chieftains and 1 Host Chieftain. Both of those are going to come from Act 7, the Ashen Fields. Meat Shield and Life Tap, do remember, if you are running those Carnage Chieftains and Host Chieftains, and again, those are for Frenzy charges and Power charges, very, very good damage for your minions. They do need Life Tap in order to actually cast those abilities. So if you do not have Life Tap with your Race Spectre, they're barely ever going to cast those abilities, and it's pretty much worthless. Meat Shield, of course, just for defenses. Now, some people do not like Animate Guardian, and that is totally fine. I would say as a league starter, you probably actually wouldn't do Animate Guardian until a little bit later. So if that is the case, one other thing that you could do is Elemental Army here. So I can even just put that here, Elemental Army, instead of Animate Guardian. And once you get your Animate Guardian set up, then you can remove the Elemental Army. And of course, you do want this in a helmet that looks kind of like this. We'll go over it a little bit later in the gear section. But if it has 2 things, is kind of what you're looking for here. Plus to level of gems. So +2 or +3 level of socketed minion gems, and also socketed gems are supported by 16, 18, or 20 minion life. That is very, very good for the defenses of your Spectres and your Animate Guardian if you do have it in there. And basically how you craft that, super simple. Any Elder helmet and you just spam bound fossils on it. So just get a single bound fossil, spam it on that helmet, and you're going to get it pretty easily. It really doesn't take too much, and you can use the level 16. You don't have to have like a level 20 minion, a level 3 plus a 20. It doesn't have to be anything crazy like that. Something like this you can probably hit in under 10 bound fossils and be totally fine. Okay, perfect. So if you are using a staff, then this is your setup here: Leap Slam, Faster Attacks, Fortify, Desecrate. If you are using the Wand Shield combo, then we're going to go with Flame Dash, Second Wind, Faster Casting, Desecrate. And for our kind of utility minion here, we do have Summon Carrion Golem, which gives us physical damage, which scales our Absolution minion, so very solid there. With minion life to help him stay alive. I think he still might die, but I think this is pretty good. We got to go with minion life. We also go with Elemental Army, which does 2 things. It helps the Carrion Golem's defenses, and it also shreds lightning resistance. So pretty solid Elemental Army there. And then Feeding Frenzy for the damage buff that it's going to give to our Absolution minion. And that is a 4-link on your body armor. 4-link on your body armor is, and again, this is only if you're doing the staff version. If you're doing the wand version, you would need your 6-link in your body armor. So this is for the staff version, where you have the 4-link here. And the reason I say that is because if you are able to get the staff version, you can kind of have 2 6 sockets, right? So your second one in that case would be, so you have the 4-link here, and then a 2-link underneath that 4-link. You don't need the second 6-link at all. You do Sigil of Power, increase area of effect. So Sigil of Power, you place it down, and it does 2 things. It gives you and your minions more lightning damage, and you take less damage. So super, super solid, and we're going to be spending a lot more mana, as you guys know, in this league with our skills costing a lot more. So I think Sigil of Power is going to be up like super fast with its stages. Increased area just for some utility there. So a whole lot of damage coming from Sigil of Power. I probably wouldn't use this outside of like map bosses or really tough monsters, just because it's not worth the extra cast, I'll bet. But once you get to the bosses of maps or the in-game bosses, I bet this is going to be pretty strong. Now we have a Summon Flame Golem here in our Ring 2, which is a malacais artifice. Interesting choice here. You don't have to do this. This is probably really better just for bossing or, you know, tougher maps once you get into the red map, something like that. But basically what this does is the malacais artifice, any gem that is socketed in it, when you use that gem, it will give the whatever it attacks, like the monster, negative resistances to the color of that gem, right? So we're using a Flame Golem. So when that Flame Golem attacks monsters, those monsters will get elemental equilibrium on the fire. So they will get plus 25 fire resistances, which is fine, doesn't affect us at all, but they'll get minus 50 lightning resistances, which is a ton of damage. We'll be doing a ton of damage with this. Again, your summoned Flame Golem will probably die. We only use a Flame Golem instead of, let's say, like Armageddon brand. You can use that as well if you want. But the Flame Golem is it automates a little bit more. But it's only when bosses is when I would use this. Maybe if I'm mapping, I would probably do like Armageddon brand. And again, only do it when I'm doing the bosses of the maps. But it's not bad. It's not a bad ring. It's super cheap usually. It gives you a ton of resistances to fire. It's gonna give you a ton of resistance to fire, really helps out. But if you don't want to do this, you can do a regular ring just with life and resistances and probably be totally fine. So those are the skills. Let's go ahead and go over to the items. This is actually pretty basic. This is the wand and shield version, right? So just the wand, and you can see some of these I actually have purchased in the game, and you can see how much I actually purchased them for. So like I got this for like 10 chaos. Basically it just had some damage and it had a ton of increased cast speed for the minions. So pretty good. And going down to the shield here, one thing I guess I could say is the Endgame version of the weapon is a typical minion weapon that you would want, like the +1 to minion gems, +1 to all intelligence or all spell skills. It's the one where it's the +2 to gems, and then you have like minion damage, you have cast speed, and then trigger socketed spells. It's the basic minion one that everybody usually gets, is the one you would get here. And then for your shield, it's a pretty basic shield here as well. Since we have such high block, we're able to get the recover 5% of life on block, and that goes from, it's like 3, 4, 5%. You want the 5%. So basically every time you're blocking, you're going to be recovering 5% of your life, which is super strong. One, because we have such high block chance, so it's going to be proccing all the time. And two, we actually have pretty good life in this build, 6,200 life at level 95. So not too bad. Pretty good shield here, and this is super cheap. And I just crafted life on there, so very cheap shield. You can usually get these for, you know, I don't know, 10, 20 chaos. Not too bad. And again, I have a link for every single one of these slots, like the trade links to the PoE website, and I will show you that spreadsheet, and you guys can use that to purchase all of these items super easy. We already talked about the helmet. Make sure you're getting one that's basically a minion helmet with gem levels and minion life on there. The body armor is super simple. Life, resistances. I usually like getting some chaos resistance on my body armors. I also like usually getting energy shield. I think on this build, it might be also good to maybe get an energy shield one with armor, but energy shield for sure. And then I also like that craft on there, gain 9% of maximum life as extra maximum energy shield. So not too bad. So we actually have, you know, almost 1,500 energy shield as well on top of the 6,200 life. So actually pretty solid there, pretty solid. Gloves, super simple here, life and resistances. And then I did a craft of minion damage. And that minion damage craft is a prefix, just so you guys know. The boots, super simple as well. Life and resistances, move speed. And I did craft on some dexterity here because we are a little dex starved in this build. So just note that, you know, somewhere between your boots, your gloves, your amulet, your ring, somewhere in there, you'll probably need a little bit of dex. For our amulet, like I said earlier, we are anointing Ravenous Horde or Death Attunement. That is up to you guys. Oops, this is actually the wrong one. It shouldn't be this. I'll fix that, but you don't need the +1 to maximum skeletons. It's a super simple amulet. It's life and resistances, and try and get it on a dexterity base as well. I'll fix that before this guide goes out. Don't worry about that. What I will say though is a more of an in-game item for amulet for this build would be this. You would want one with +1 to strength gems and +1 to physical gems. So that would give us +2 to levels of our Absolution. And you could do that by using an Awakener's Orb, and that would be the in-game amulet. So for our first ring, Again, super simple here, just life and resistances. Sometimes you can actually search for one that has like life and minion damage and no resistances, and you can just craft on some resistances and get it pretty cheap. I think I got these for like, 10 chaos each or something, so not too bad at all. And for the ring 2, I already mentioned that is the malacais artifice. Again, you don't have to use this if you don't want to. Basically, it's just a ton of extra damage. But it can be a little bit annoying to cast, like the Flame Golem or the Armageddon brand. So if you don't like that playstyle, totally fine. Just get a second one of these rings and you'll be totally fine. You could even get maybe a ring that is conductivity on hit. That could be pretty good as well, since we are doing lightning damage. For your belt, again, very simple. Life and resistances, easy peasy. One thing that I like to note, guys, is I always try and have an open suffix so I can craft on there a resistance and chaos resistance, and that's how I'm able to get such decent chaos resistance in here, up to 40%, 50% usually. By doing that on a few items, it's pretty easy to actually get up there. So for our flasks, we have Rumi's Concoction, which got nerfed, sad face. But it is still the best item since we're going block in this build. We still want to go ahead and get that. Quicksilver, we do, again, sad, got nerfed. It's not going to be 25% movement speed anymore, or 25 to 30%. It's going to be, honestly, you can probably get whatever affix you want on here. I would leave that up to you guys. Maybe get the warding one, so you're... No, we're already curse immune, so don't get that one. Let's see, because we're getting staunching with the basalt flask. So this is actually going to be pretty nice. We do have the Rumi's Concoction for the armor, and the new basalt flask, just so you guys know, is it's not physical damage reduction anymore. It's 20% more armor. So that combo is not too bad. It's going to give us quite a bit of armor. And with this one, I did go with the corrupted blood on there. And do note that there are new items in the game which you can craft on flasks, which will make it auto trigger if that thing happens. So like in this case, it would auto trigger if you are corrupted blood, if corrupted blood is inflicted on you. So I'd probably get that on there. I do have a sapphire flask of heat. And with that, it's the same thing. So basically I'm taking cold damage, right, which might freeze me. So then it would auto proc for the freeze immunity. So that's kind of my thinking there. And then my life flask, I usually always get the blood of the crew as my life flask. It's just a super good life flask. So I have that. For my jewels here, I always like getting Quickening Covenant and Fortress Covenant. It's just really good defenses for our minions and offense, and they're usually relatively cheap. So I would pick those up. And for our ghastly jewels, something like this, a little bit of life, minions deal increased damage if you've done a minion skill recently, and then something like, added additional chaos damage, added additional lightning damage would be the best for sure. Minions deal X additional lightning damage would absolutely be the best. And also, let me see if I can find it here. It's in here somewhere. If you get one that also has a chance to taunt on there, it's got to be in here somewhere. I know it's in here. Where are you? There we go. So minions have 7% chance to taunt on hit. That's also a pretty good option. And then for our cluster jewels, I already told you about this one right here with Blessed Rebirth and Renewal. Another good medium one is Dread March and Renewal. And the best in slot large cluster jewel is Call to Slaughter, Renewal, and then Raise and Pillage, which we don't pick up, and we just spend these points here. But if you can't get that, don't worry about it, guys. You can get a 9 passive and be totally fine. They're so much cheaper. Get that until you have a little bit more currency, and you're totally fine. And you would just go for Call to Slaughter and Renewal. Perfect. So that is the items here. We'll go ahead and go over to the next part of the guide here. If you really want to stay in Path of Building, I do have the leveling up section in here. But what I would like to say is that it's a little bit nicer and neater if you go to the other link, which is going to be this right here. It's color coded and it gives you a little bit more information. Like I say here, underlined is a quest reward. Bold means you purchase it from the vendor. I can't spell tendrils. So basically, I'll give you an example here, right? So level 1, we are a Templar, so we're gonna get lightning tendrils from the first quest. At level 4, and it kind of tells you what quest you get it from or what part of the act you get it from. At level 4, you're going to purchase Holy Flame Totem. Actually, is this right? This is right. Let me just do this quick edit for you guys. Sorry about that. There we go. And there we go. Whoa. We're doing this live, boys. There you go. So we would get Holy Flame Totem from the quest. We would purchase Summon Phantasm. We would purchase Summon Raging Spirit, purchase Flame Wall. So you do need the 3 Wisdom Scrolls there. That's really the most purchasing you're going to do. But Arcane Surge, Frostblink, you kind of get where I'm going here, right? So, and then at this quest, you would purchase Infernal League. You would get this as the quest reward. So I've kind of gotten it for you guys to where it's pretty easy to level up. I actually use this myself when I level. Just makes it a little bit easier. And you can kind of come down here. I have some notes. And then the full setup is right here. And I took this full setup from the cheat sheet, which is right here. So if you guys would prefer this look style, it's kind of basically, it's what you are supposed to have at the end of the act. So it doesn't give you exact details. It's not super in depth like the other one. But it's kind of like a, you glance over at your screen and you know what kind of colors that you should be looking for. And then you get that. Which kind of brings me to the next topic, which is I did make a custom loot filter for you guys. So this link will also be in the description. You can come down here to, where is it? Let's click this. Absolution leveling. So when you guys click this, instead of edit, there will be a green button that says follow. You can see on here, I'm following Neversinks. It says unfollow. For you guys, it'll say follow right here. So Absolution leveling, follow. And in that, it's going to be exactly what you guys need to level up super easy. It's going to highlight all of these colors, like a 3-link blue. It'll highlight it for you and you'll know, okay, perfect. I got to go pick that up and you'll go right to it and it's super easy. I use that myself and it's really easy. So that is the cheat sheet. And last thing here we'll show you guys is the trade leagues that I have for you guys. So again, I want to make this as easy as possible. This is a league start build, new player, casual friendly. That's kind of my whole point of making this. I want to make it as easy as possible for you guys. So you can come in here and you can literally just click it and it takes you exactly to the link of the item. And I've already done the filtering for you guys. So you literally just click it and you go to the item, easy peasy. And I have some notes for you guys. I've done some notes here. I've kind of estimated the cost of some of these items. We do have the POB up here. Of course, all of this will be linked in the description. A couple things I've already mentioned, right? The Death Attunement or Ravenous Horde here. Elemental Reflect is a bad map mod. We do kill all the bandits. And then, yeah, you can just kind of come down here, check out all the items as you're gearing out your character. You can come down here to the jewels. Let's take this off. I actually just changed that in the build. So you can come down here, and this is going to be updated, by the way, guys. If I ever make edits to this, it auto updates for you guys, so you will never not have the most current information. Like I just made a change there, y'all would have immediately seen that and y'all would not have purchased that because it's already edited. So easy peasy for you guys. But you can see, like I mentioned, the Quickening Covenant, the Fortress Covenant, and then other items, Rumi's Concoction, Blood of the Crewy. Easy peasy, easy peasy. Yeah, that's pretty much everything I wanted to say except the last part here, which is what you could maybe do as switching into the medium budget or high-end budget of this build. And this is just me thinking out loud here about some different options, because like I said, this is a theory crafted build. But here are maybe some options here. We got Soul Rest, which I do think is going to be a pretty solid item for this, as probably your maybe like a, and these are usually pretty cheap too. But you would want to 6-link it because you're going to have your Absolution in there. But basically the reason it's important is because your Phantasms, which you will actually have linked to Absolution, they do physical damage as well. So all of the gems that we're using for Absolution are going to affect your Phantasms. So tons of damage for them as well. And it's just got some decent stats on it, with also scaling physical damage to our minions. We're getting some regen, so I think it just overall it's a pretty good, low to medium budget item. Pretty solid. Check that out. I think the in-game item that we want is Pledge of Hands. Ooh, don't tell anyone. We don't want the prices to go up. I think this is going to be absolutely crazy for Absolution, because the Greater Spell Echo will affect our minions. It will affect us, and it will affect our minions. So our minions are going to be going freaking crazy when we shoot this. It's going to have so much AoE. That's one of the things that Greater Spell Echo does. It makes them fire extra spells, and on top of that, the more they fire, the bigger AoE they have. It's literally going to be covering the entire screen with this. and also has some nice synergy with some maximum mana. That did get nerfed this league. It used to be 100, it's 50 now, really not a big deal, but we are going mind over matter with this build. So that's pretty nice as well. Overall, I think this is going to be a fantastic medium to high-end item that you guys want to chase for in this build. Perfect. But I think that really covers it, guys. This was a live take, so I hope I got all the information in here that you guys needed. Definitely check out the video description for all of the links I mentioned. If I have to make any edits to any of this, like I said, all of this will get edited automatically, but if it's something I can't edit in here, definitely check the notes section in the video description of this actual video, and I'll put some changes in there if I absolutely have to. But for the most part, I think this build is good to go. I am super excited to level it myself. This is what I will be league starting with, so if you guys want to come see what it looks like, come check out my Twitch, and hopefully everything goes well, and we are slaying some bosses, we're cruising in maps, and we're doing way more damage than everybody else because we didn't get that hit that hard with all the damage nerfs. So looking forward to it. And if you guys do choose to do this, let me know in the comment section if you guys liked it. If y'all did not like it, also let me know. I don't mind that at all as well. And I will see you guys in the next one.